Hello, welcome to Stone Age Gamer episode 12. Today's episode is called Bubsy Tattoos. Enjoy. Hi everybody, and welcome to episode 12 of the Stone Age Gamer podcast for the week of August 18th, 2014. I'm your host for the evening, Chris, and with me as always is Dean DeFalco.
Where am I?
Mike Sheridan.
Hola.
And Dan Ryan.
Good evening, everyone.
We've been through we've been through quite a lot in the last week or so. If you're a regular listener to the show, then you probably noticed there wasn't a new episode last week. That's because we were doing our 48-hour streamathon, Geek Life versus Video Games, and it was a pretty rousing success. We streamed all kinds of good games and bad games and more bad games. So yeah, that was what was going on last week. Also, Dan moved across the country. He's on the East Coast where he belongs, and I'm sure Mike was drunk.
Mm-hmm. Yep, totally happened.
But it was a good time. It was a good time. We did a lot of good things, and we raised some money for a good cause. But we're back. We're here to discuss retro video games and do what we do best. So let's do a quick run around the room, what we've been playing. Let's start with you, Dan.
Well, like you said, I moved across the country, so I haven't had a ton of time for much. But I did have my iPad with me, and luckily the hotels that I stayed in offered me their free Wi-Fi so that I could play a little bit of Hearthstone. And it's really fun. I mean, like, I know I'm a little bit late to the game here. I'm not really a World of Warcraft guy. I don't play MMOs or anything. So when I first heard about this collectible card game set in the Warcraft universe, I was like, whatever. It's not really in my purview. Not really for me. But I was just looking for something to play because all my systems were boxed up. My computer was boxed up. So downloaded this, and it's actually really, really fun. I'm having a blast with it. Like, it's super easy to understand. I used to play Magic back in the day when I was in like middle school, and I think a freshman in high school, and it's got a similar kind of vibe to it, and easy to pick up, and it doesn't cost a whole lot of money if you want to buy some additional packs through Blizzard's online store. It's not crazy expensive, really, so I might do that and jump into the arena and maybe see how I do there. But yeah, definitely a good time waster anyway.
Nice.
Sounds fun. Dean, you play that too, right?
Oh yeah, I do.
You were playing some of that on the show, on the stream, right?
You mean when I just annihilated people for 4 straight hours?
Yeah, I saw some of that.
Yeah, I saw some of it too. I had no idea what I was looking at.
Yeah, he's like, I'm just going to take this card and this one. I'm like, these cards look nice. I was like, I don't get it.
It sure looked neat, but it wasn't for me. All right, well, that's cool, Dan. I'm glad you found some time to game, and we're also glad that you're here.
Yeah.
Me too. I am proud to be a New Yorker officially, because being a Floridian was clown shoes, and being a Texan, like, I don't vote Republican, nor do I own a gun. So, I felt kind of ostracized there. But here, people are like me. It's way better.
People being like you is never better. Mike, what have you been up to this week? Actually, for the last couple of weeks. We haven't heard from you in a little while.
Yeah, I was MIA last podcast. But I've been playing a lot of DuckTales because my nephew's been over. So he's been really into watching me play video games. So I'm pretty stoked about that. I showed him DuckTales Remastered. Then I got to show him the show because he saw neither because he's 4. That's
a good excuse.
Yeah. Mario Kart 8. Been showing him a lot of Castlevania. He's really digging that. But that's pretty much it for right now. Oh, and I showed him Mystic Quest for a little bit because I wanted to play an RPG. He didn't really like that one.
Yeah, I guess 4-year-olds probably aren't too much into RPGs.
Yeah. But it's Mystic Quest. It's a dumbed-down version of an RPG.
Yeah.
That's true. Still a decent amount of reading in it, though.
Yeah.
What does he think of DuckTales, like the cartoon and the game? Like, what does he think of that?
It was so weird for the fact because I showed him Remastered first. This is the first time I've seen someone see a game before the cartoon, he was able to relate stuff, and he likes it. He thinks it's great, and I love the fact that he's into it.
That's good to hear. I'm glad he's into it because when my kid's old enough, I'm totally going to show him DuckTales.
And he'll definitely be into it because it's awesome.
Okay, well, thanks, Mike. Dean, what you been up to?
You really want to ask that question?
I do. I really want to ask that question. What have you been playing?
What? Oh, okay. Well, let's see. I played Rex Rocket almost until its completion. That was good, but bone-numbingly hard. I can't fathom people who could beat this game. It's a really cool like platformer game with a lot of upgrades and really cool stuff and secrets and everything. The story is kind of like Alien meets Portal, I guess. Basically, you're a space marine, world-renowned superhero type guy who's transporting this alien goop stuff. They're basically sentient beings, like hive mind type stuff, into another sector because they're going to be hauled off to be dismantled or whatever, and your computer goes rogue while you're in cryo sleep, lets out all the aliens, and she starts taking control of the ship. It's pretty cool, except these bosses are so difficult, and the weapon upgrades they give you are not enough to beat any of the bosses. So you have to remember the patterns to the T, or else you're so screwed. And I got to, I think it was the final boss, which is basically in a gigantic electroconductor that's just shooting lightning bolts. And by the time I got him down to like the last sliver, he's just firing off in every direction possible. There's no pattern anymore. It's just absolutely apeshit. And that game drove me nuts. And then I moved on to Hearthstone for about 6 hours, and that was fun. As Dan said, it's a collectible card game. It's really cool. I've been having a lot of fun playing it. I've gotten all types of different cards. I've gotten tons of legendaries, which are like the rarest ones. They came out with that Naxxramas solo adventure thing, which was really cool. I can't really recommend it enough to anyone because it's just such a fun game. You can play it passively. It's out on the iPad, so you can kind of just, hang out while you're home, watch TV, kind of like, move around the cards while you're doing other stuff and whatnot. I mean, a lot of the time when I'm playing, I'm normally going through Reddit or Facebook and just waiting for my turn to come up. Games don't even take that long. They take like 10 minutes at most of the time, unless like it's a really heated game. Then it takes maybe, 15, 20 minutes. But still, just to keep going through matches that quickly, it's fun. Because if you lose, it's not like you really lost any massive amount of time where you feel like, oh, God, I lost that game. I don't ever want to play this again. That was cool. What else did I play? I played Outlast. Outlast is a really freaking scary horror game where you have no weapons. All you can do, your main objective is to get out of this place alive, and it's so scary because it's in the dark, and you have this camcorder that's basically your flashlight, I guess, because it has infrared. So you're walking past some of these things, and your guy's slowly going insane. It's batshit nuts. It's $20, and for $20, it had a really cool story and really cool mechanics. Sort of like Fatal Frame, I guess, but you didn't have to have the camera up to see all the ghosts. Basically, the main reason you had the camera up most of the time was so that you could record the story as it was going down, and your character would give his input on what was going on. So I almost always had the camera on, which is really cool. There's actually DLC for it that I'm really excited to get because it's awesome. Other than that, those were like the newer games I was playing. I played a whole crap ton of retro games. I played Star Fox Assault, which is really cool. Made it all the way to the last boss, second form, just to get defeated, and lost my temper because I was up for 16 hours at that point, and I was like, fuck this game. I don't want to play this anymore. I have a right to do that because I've been up for 16 fucking hours. Then Chris came over, and I went to bed, and then I got up when Chris was finishing Punch-Out, and then we played the Wand of Gamelon.
Now we played Faces of Evil.
Faces of Evil, sorry.
I'll talk about that one though.
And yeah, that was something else. And then what else did I play? Jeez, I played a lot. I played Bubsy.
Yeah,
Fuck
that's a
that
good game. That's a good game.
Fuck everyone who thinks that's a good game. Oh God, I hate that game so much now. We got stuck on I think like level 9 and 10 maybe, And
Was that really that late in the game? I remember tuning in and seeing you guys on the desert level, like the train and then the desert.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking like, all right, I remember that stage. I'll come back in like an hour or so. And then my wife watched some TV and we hung out. And then I came back and you were still on that level. I was like, holy shit, this is still going.
Fuck that level. Fuck that level.
Like a
Fuck
bridge
that
too
stupid
short.
game. Oh god, stop. Stop. If I never hear that guy again, it'd be too soon.
I'm going to put this out there right now. Will you commit to this? If I pay for it, will you get a Bubsy tattoo?
I would.
All right.
How big?
You would have to get here's what I'm thinking.
Stipulations.
Here's what I'm thinking. You know how like people have the really, and I'm sorry if this offends any of our listeners who may have this tattoo, but tattoos come with regrets sometimes. The Tasmanian devil on the outside of your leg tattoo. I want you to get it that same one, but Bubsy.
That's where all my video game tattoos are, on my leg.
Oh, God, dude, I don't know, man. I'm more of like an upper body type guy with tats. I don't know if I want something on my lower body.
But that's the point. Like, it's got to be in the Tasmanian devil. Like, hey, I was 17 and I went and got this fucking tattoo. It's badass.
Yeah, but I'm 26 and you paid for my tattoo. I don't think I have that excuse.
It's got to be Bubsy in his standing still in the game position where he's like leaning backwards and with the dumb smirk. And it's just got to say, what could possibly go wrong?
I would actually get that.
I might have to cut off my calf after that. I'll think about it, Dan. I'll definitely think about it.
All right, the offer's on the table.
All right, let that be known. Chris, put that in the notes that we talked about Bubsy tattoo on my lower leg.
Absolutely, Bubsy tattoos.
Yeah, I think that wraps it up because I want to hear what you have to say about Link on the CDI. Actually, did we play Night? No, we played Night Trap the night before when we were testing everything.
Yeah, we played that briefly, and that's funny you brought that up because I just posted on our Facebook page an interesting story I was reading about the folks who made Night Trap want to remake it in HD, and I'm fascinated by this fact because I wasn't aware that there is anybody on the face of this earth that thinks that's a good game. I know it
has a huge following.
It has a huge following, and I get it from a cult crappy movie standpoint, but apparently they have the original, actual footage instead of the grainy Sega CD footage and whatnot. And I watched some of it on their Kickstarter page because they're doing a Kickstarter right now for Night Trap Revamped. But I mean, this is just a quick little tangent that's been really interesting. Is since they announced this thing, a lot of people are saying, "Oh my God, you have to release this on Wii U because it's perfect for it." You've got the second screen, and that's kind of how Night Trap worked. As you were, just switching between all these different security cameras and stuff. And they were like, "No, never. We will never release anything for Nintendo ever because they totally screwed us in the '90s. Absolutely screwed us during the whole video game violence in the Senate thing, and we will never ever put Night Trap on a Nintendo console. Never. Screw those guys. I'm out." And yesterday, they officially applied to become a Wii U developer.
Well,
guys, enough people asked for it, and they were just like, enough people asked us for it.
Money?
Well, Chris,
exactly.
What could possibly go wrong?
A lot, and believe me, they're not completely in the wrong there. Nintendo did throw them under the bus. Like Night Trap was going to be on this Nintendo CD back when that was going to happen, and then. All the different rights changed hands, and Philips and Sony, and eventually Howard Lincoln, Nintendo's lawyer, said, to the United States Senate, Night Trap will never appear on a Nintendo console. So they're kind of both eating a little bit of crow right now. It's an interesting story. Go to our Facebook page, read the link, and let us know what you think about it, because I think it's damn interesting, and even the fact that somebody wants to remake Night Trap. But before I get into the Philips CDI stuff that we played, as is my life, I occasionally I get donations from people. Everybody I know knows that I'm a video game collector. And because of this, sometimes people will just drop off free shit for me. And I love that. I'm always excited when things like that happen. Sometimes it's games, sometimes it's game-related stuff. Like I got some Super Mario Brothers Dixie Cups a while back. I got a Nintendo Entertainment System shelving unit from my friend Derek, and all sorts of stuff. But I saved for tonight a box that I have here from my friend Eddie, who he gave me a box of PlayStation 2 games, and I have no idea what's in it. So I'm going to look at this box right here on air and see what it is that I just got for PlayStation 2. All right, here we go. The box. First thing in the box is a PSP 1000. Check that out.
Ooh.
It has no charger. It has no memory stick, but the screen does seem to be in relatively good shape. I don't know if it works, but it is a PSP 1000. We have Fight Night Round 3.
Sick.
NBA 2006. I can already see where this is going. Ooh, SpongeBob, the movie, the game.
That sounds like a good time.
Tak, the Great Juju Challenge.
I think we have a dad sharing his PlayStation 2 with a child. That's what it's.
Yeah, I think that's what we have here. Oh, well, I don't know. Def Jam, Fight for New York.
That was a good game. I don't care what anybody says. I had
Yeah,
fun
that
with
game
that.
was super fun.
Oh,
The other
Christ.
ones suck.
iToy Play
Yeah,
2.
that's
Barf.
where we're going.
Ooh, Spy Hunter 2.
Ooh.
Oh, God. Fantastic Four, the movie, the game. Yeah. Time Crisis 2.
Guns?
No guns. Ooh, Bully. This is a damn good game.
Mm-hmm.
Bully's good stuff. DDR Max 2. No Matt, obviously. DDR Max 1. Still no Matt. Destroy All Humans.
That's
That was a
pretty
good. That was
fun
fun.
game. That
Yeah.
wasn't bad. Let's see, grab a stack here. Here we go. From Russia with Love.
Nice.
It's good. FIFA Soccer 2005.
Generic.
NFL Street 2. Sled Storm. Madden 2006.
That's going for
NCAA
like 12
March
sec-
Madness
12 cents now, probably.
2005. And the last four, what do we got? Oh, Jesus Christ, this game. Jet Li Rise to Honor. Simpsons Road Rage.
I had fun with that.
NBA Live 2005.
It's live.
And finally, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4.
There had to have been at least one Tony Hawk Pro Skater in there.
So that's this box of random free crap I got the other day. And now I know what's in it. And now I have to catalog all of it. So that'll be fun.
You lucky bastard.
Yes.
I think I remember Sledstorm being pretty fun.
Yeah, those PlayStation Extreme Sports games like Sledstorm and SSX and stuff like that. Those pretty fun games if I remember, if memory serves me right.
Yeah, I think that one was pretty damn good.
There was a Sledstorm 2. I can't remember what platform it was. That was PS3 or not, but there was definitely a Sledstorm 2.
Yeah.
Anyways, back to the task at hand as far as what I've been playing. I haven't played much since the broadcast that we did, but I played all three Punch-Out games back to back to back, all three console Punch-Out games, and I did pretty well for myself. I was proud of my run. I did lose a couple of times in Punch-Out Wii for the last two fights, but I wound up beating them anyway, so good for me. That was fun. I did play some UN Squadron, one of my favorite shooters. I knew that my time was limited, so once I started losing towards the end, because that game is tough as nails, I called it quits, but I made it through most of the game. I did some grinding towards the middle there. UN Squadron's a great game. I could talk about that for an entire show, but
I'm very upset that I missed that.
that game's great. But the majority of my time spent that wasn't playing Punch-Out, just a quick little interlude. While I was playing Punch-Out, I got really nervous while I was playing Punch-Out Wii because Johnny Metz, the host of Radio Free Nintendo, popped into the chat, and it was like the coolest thing ever because I felt a little starstruck because I love that show so much, and it was just really cool of them to help promote our stream, and it was really cool of him to chime in for a bit there. So on the off chance that Jonathan Metz is listening to our show, thank you very much. You made my evening. But after all was said and done, I hooked up the Philips CDI, and we played Link Faces of Evil. For anybody who doesn't know about the Unholy Triforce, Philips Electronics, through a number of deals with Nintendo, had the opportunity to make Nintendo games. And after their contracts were kind of like split up and Nintendo decided they weren't going to be involved in CDI, they had this very brief window of opportunity to make games with Nintendo licenses. And they shat out as many as they could, as fast as they could. They released 1.5 Mario games. Hotel Mario was actually released. Super Mario's Wacky Worlds, I think is what it called, was not released because it wasn't finished. But there's a prototype out there, and it's all right. And then there was 3 full-on Zelda games released: Link Faces of Evil, Zelda Wand of Gamelon, and Zelda's Adventure. Link Faces of Evil is my, I guess favorite would be the right word, of the 3. It's, in my opinion, the least
shittiest.
It's the least shitty, although Faces of Evil and Wand of Gamelon are almost identical as far as gameplay. They're just like different levels of the same gameplay, except one you play as Link, one you play as Zelda, which is interesting, and they feature terrible cutscenes. Zelda's Adventure is by far the worst because it's just dull in every respect. It's got these awful live-action cutscenes they're not even funny. They're so bad they're uncomfortable. It's like Faces of Evil and Wand of Gamelon are like Street Fighter the movie, and Zelda's Adventure is like The Legend of Chun-Li. Like they're all awful, unbelievably awful. But one of them's kind of funny, and the other one's just it just makes you squirm. It's like watching Dragon Ball Evolution. It's just how did this happen? I'm upset by this. Which obviously, watching Street Fighter the movie is infinitely better than playing Link Faces of Evil, but that's just kind of the parallel that jumped into my mind. So the CDI had an abundance of controllers to choose from, and the one that I have for my CDI is this single-handed wand thing that has this big circle pad in the middle that works as your D-pad and 3 buttons around it. So I would hold it two-handed, but like it's really meant to be one-handed, so it's like holding a TV remote control or a Wii remote with 2 hands, so it's a little cramped. You can see videos of these games online, but I always tell people you really don't know how bad they are until you physically played them, because you can see somebody say, "Oh my God, this is unbelievably bad," and you can look at the content and say, "This is garbage," but until you hold that controller, you really don't know how bad it is, how unresponsive the controls are, and how difficult it is to play these goddamn games.
So bad.
They're unreasonable. So, but when I played the game this time, it was the farthest I ever got, because usually I don't get far enough into the game to really make any progress, because I just say, well, fuck this, I'm out. But this time, this was for charity, and I was determined. Dean brought up a little a walkthrough, so it gave us a little bit of direction as far as where we should go and what we should do. And I actually started making progress in the game. And so I started to understand what was in this game. And the more I think about it, there was good intent with this game. Something like Zelda's Adventure is just a drab, boring mess. This game, I understand how this happened, and the reason it was so shitty as far as the gameplay is concerned would be because it was so rushed. I mean, they had such a limited amount of time to make as many games as possible, but based on what was in the universe of Zelda, now this was an American developer that made this game, they had the successful Super Mario Brothers Super Show cartoon to work off of, and they had Zelda 2, and I think Zelda 3 was out by then. I think A Link to the Past was out, but this seemed to be primarily based off Zelda 2, because it's a side scroller with swinging your sword and jumping and all that other jazz. This standalone, like the art style is on the levels themselves isn't good. The backgrounds are pretty cool looking. They're not bad considering the age of the game, but the cinematic cutscenes all seem to be loosely based on the Zelda cartoon that was on, with Link always trying to get a kiss from the princess, and the animation's even worse, and the voice acting is bad. But if you really think about when these were made and the conditions they were made, and especially the cutting edge. But when you start to make your way through the game, you can see that there was actually some good intent, and maybe with enough time, enough time and editing, this could have theoretically been, it could have been a decent game if it was done, but it's not. The long story short, it is not a good game. And we went from one place to another. We watched these terrible cutscenes. You stab people and they start talking to you, and they go into these funky animations of, rescue this and find this, and then some woman freezes, and then you have to collect snowballs from moblins, and it was painful. But we made it. We must have made it at least halfway through the game.
We were about halfway when we ended up giving up.
Yeah, and really the only reason I gave up was because it was 3 in the morning. Like, I needed to go home and go to sleep because I had to work the next day. But I'm going to finish this game someday. I'm going to finish both Faces of Evil and Wand of Gamelon someday. That's going to happen. I don't know if I'm ever going to finish Zelda's Adventure because I don't know that I want to put myself through that. But I felt this sense of accomplishment getting through those games, and I've seen the endings to them, so I know how terrible it really is. But I want to have that under my belt, I want to be able to say, not only do I have these games, but I can finish them, and that's what I've been playing. CDI Zelda games, they're something magical. But,
on a TV remote.
Yeah, on a TV remote. But hey, man, we did it. We streamed it. We streamed it for charity. We plugged it in with AV cables and played it on a CRT television, and we did it for the children.
Yeah, so I mean, if we ever do go back to that, we are recording that entire thing.
Oh yeah. If I ever find the time to sit down and beat Faces of Evil and Wand of Gamelon and maybe even Zelda's Adventure, we're gonna stream that stuff, and you will be able to witness our pain as we do it, and it will be pain.
How long do you think it would take to finish all of the for each game?
Well, I mean, we had a walkthrough in front of us, so taking that into account, when did we start? Maybe 12:30, and we stopped around 3, and we were halfway. So say the first one's 6 hours. Say the second one is another 6 hours at the pace we play at.
I would even cut that down to maybe 4, because at least the first hour or so we didn't have that walkthrough up. Remember, Aria was just wandering around aimlessly, and
True story. Yep.
we were, all right, what do we do now? What the hell does this do? And we would get to the end of a screen and then be like, well, shit, we can't do anything now. Because the game is really, it's almost Castlevania 2 levels of you have no idea what to do. It's just, here's the world, go for it, and not in a good way. It's
that game was like 10 levels of broken.
Yeah, it's just bad, but that's enough negativity. Speaking of broken stuff, we're going to get to our feature topic right after the break. We're going to start talking about some Tiger LCD games. We'll be back. Talking about some Tiger LCD games. I was thinking the other day about Tiger LCDs because, in the interest of what I mentioned before about that big box of games, a few months back, another friend of mine gave me a handful of Tiger Electronics games, and the Tiger LCDs were really, really prevalent when we were younger, especially me and Dan, maybe Dean and Mike. I don't know, not sure how prevalent these things were when you guys
they were still around and kicking, and people still kept buying them,
which is it's nuts because some of these things are absolute trash, and some of them were fairly fun, and it drew an interesting parallel in my mind about the current state of the games industry with iOS. Like all the iPhone and mobile games are kind of like the modern equivalent to these things, because games like Flappy Bird or whatever are all these really, really, really basic concepts. And that's kind of the in essence what the Tiger LCD games were. So I just kind of wanted to bring up that little topic and discuss. So I don't know, guys, what do you think?
They suck.
Well, to be honest, looking at how these companies needed to make money, I mean, Tiger LCD was never really in the same league as Nintendo or any of them. These were all quick cash-ins, so they got these IPs somehow. Which, I mean, did they really get these IPs? Because they had stuff like Castlevania. So I'm assuming Konami was like, "Yeah, sure, take it, do whatever the fuck you want."
Konami made a bunch of LCD games.
They did,
Eh,
yeah. Well, they had Tiger Electronics had some crazy licenses, and not just with these LCDs, because they also did the Tiger Gamecom and they did the Tiger R Zone. And I mean,
ugh.
I have Resident Evil 2 for Gamecom. I have Panzer Dragoon for R Zone. Like they got licenses from everywhere, and it seemed like everybody was willing to jump in on these things. I mean, I'm looking at the Tiger LCD games like, off the top of my head. They had Mortal Kombat. They had Street Fighter 2, Mega Man 2, Mega Man 3, Castlevania. There was a Castlevania Symphony of the Night Tiger LCD game, for crying out loud. Like
Yeah, there was.
that stuff's mind blowing to me. And I remember seeing these things a lot when I was a kid, the Tiger LCDs. But what I didn't see a lot of until I was older were the Nintendo's LCDs, the Game and Watches. And the quality of the Game and Watches is so different from the Tiger ones, but the Tiger ones were also considerably more disposable. I guess their whole purpose was to be a more disposable, cheap little handheld thing to give your kids and just tell them to go on with it.
Yeah, these were the things that you bought for your kids when, like if you live in the Northeast and you were taking the somewhat regular family trip down to Florida to go to Disney. Be like, fuck, we got to shut the kids up. Here, buy them this piece of shit. It'll shut them up.
Because I don't want to spend the money on a Game Boy. So here, take this thing.
Yeah, because these things were, I think we kind of came to the consensus between somewhere between 10 to 20 bucks, and it had characters that, certainly when Chris and I were of age when these were coming out, we didn't know any better. It was like, oh shit, there's a Mega Man game. All right, I want that because it's got Mega Man.
The Mega Man one's fascinating. Like, in particular, like I'm gonna look at Mega Man 2, and I was watching on YouTube. There's a commercial for this one, and what's really interesting is that it's got the NES game's box art on as the artwork for this game.
Yeah,
But
all surrounding the screen.
the gameplay is based off of this artwork.
Yep.
The bosses, the robot masters, look like the cover art, and Mega Man is running around with a gun in his hand, like the box art Mega Man. It's so weird.
So wait, he doesn't do that in the other games? He doesn't have a gun in his hand?
No, he
No.
does. Well,
He has a gun
yeah.
on his hand. He has a
Well-
gun for a hand.
Well, in 1 and 2, he did have a gun in his hand. No.
He doesn't have a little blaster?
Like a pew-pew?
Yeah.
Not in the game, no.
No, not in the game. You're right. Oh,
On
yes,
the
yes.
game,
You,
yes,
yeah,
on the
wait,
box art. Yeah, he had a gun in his hand, like he was holding a pistol in.
I
on the
understand
box
what
art
you're
from one
saying.
end,
I
too,
did
yeah.
forget about that. Yeah, in the actual LCD game, he is holding a gun in his hand. He is the sprite from the box art.
Yeah, it's so weird because it's like they didn't really know what they had to work with. Obviously, anybody who made this game never played the NES game, otherwise it wouldn't be what it is.
They probably also don't have a soul because it was awful.
Well, working with what they were working with. I mean, all right, so we keep shooting the word, Tiger LCD games around, and if anybody listening doesn't know, LCD, liquid crystal display, is they were basically these pre-fabricated drawings, and depending on the way they kind of did this faux animation was to be able to color in these different pieces of animation to do things. It's so hard to explain, but if you've ever played Super Smash Brothers, Mr. Game & Watch kind of moves like what these LCD games move like. And they always had a static background that was just drawn with art. Like, so there was this artwork as part of the screen, and then these black images would appear over this backdrop, and that's how they would do the gameplay. And some of them got to be fairly complex, and some of them were really, really, really basic. I mean, I personally remember playing Arch Rivals on this thing, the little Tiger LCD version of Arch Rivals, and being really having a hoot with it. I used to love that little thing. But other games like I'm looking at Double Dragon 2. I remember playing this one once or twice and just thinking, well, what the heck does this have to do with Double Dragon? This isn't very good. Or the Street Fighter one. I remember seeing the commercial for the Street Fighter one a lot when I was a
I
kid.
had it.
And thinking, man, that looks really good. I want a portable Street Fighter. That looks great.
Ugh.
Well, Mike, which one? Obviously, you don't have a lot of love for these things. Were there any of these that you liked, Mike? I mean, I think you said that you had played a lot of these.
I played a lot of them, but the thing is, I don't remember them. I purposely blocked it out of my head. Some of the best things about these games was the physical look on the outside. Like, some of the casings of it look cool. Like the Power Rangers one looked like Power Rangers. The Aladdin one looked like Aladdin. And then the Simon's Quest one, pretty good. Simon's looking all right. Dracula, not so much.
Well, he just looks like that's just the NES cover art right there.
But then you go to the Street Fighter 2 one. That is just ugly. Like,
let's see, Street Fighter 2. Wow, yeah, but that's legit Street Fighter art, man. Which is ridiculous when you think about it. But that's legit Street Fighter 2 art from Capcom that is sitting on this Tiger LCD, and it is.
They didn't need to keep it. They didn't need to keep it. They had the option to change it, but they took the lazy way out.
Yeah. Now, according to this site, right now we're looking at, I'm pretty sure Mike's on this site too, handheldmuseum.com, and they have what appears to be a checklist of all the Tiger LCD games, and we're just clicking through these, looking at them. Now, they have a listing for Super Street Fighter 2 as well, and yep, that's not bad looking, actually. This little guy it's got a red, it's made mostly of red plastic. Oh, talking. Oh man, that's right. Some of these things actually talked. A lot of the original ones did little bleeps and bloops and stuff, but some of them did have. They got really inventive with this stuff, man. Because I know I have the Mortal Kombat one in my basement that took these trading cards or something that are almost like Nintendo's e-reader, and you would swipe these cards to get different players or something in it.
Yeah, some of that was interesting that they were just trying to rip them off, but God, these are terrible. I just keep looking through these, and I'm just so happy these don't exist anymore.
Yeah, I don't blame you, man. I mean, I had a whole mess of these things, and the thing is, they were cheap, so they were always easy to get. Some of these were even just copies. I mean, if you see just going through this website, there's 3 different submarine wars. I mean, common thing to do, but did there really need to be 3 of them?
I remember these being right by the register. Like, I don't remember these being in an aisle.
Oh yeah, these were impulse items.
Yeah,
no doubt.
It's like you have like $10 or $15 to spend. Your child was okay today. You should torture him with this game.
Well, yeah, and I mean, how much money do you think went into actually R&D for these things? I mean, obviously not a lot, judging by the Mega Man stuff. But I'm just curious if anyone has like a number.
I would venture to say very little. I mean. There was never. I doubt there was a team involved in any of these. I mean, really, when you look at the, all right, I'm gonna bring up Ninja Gaiden. Oh, that's a watch. That's not gonna help me.
Yeah, I clicked that one too.
Did you see this Duke Nukem 3D one?
Oh God, really?
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look. All right, let's bring this guy up. Oh my God, this thing's crazy looking.
Yeah, right.
Wow, that thing's shaped like a gun and everything. But let's go to like a more traditional looking one. So let's bring up Police Academy because that exists.
I totally
You mean you don't think John Gutenberg deserved a
Steve
LCD
Gutenberg?
Steve Gutenberg.
Mahoney!
How dare you besmirch the good name of Steve?
Hightower's rolling over in his grave right now.
So I'm looking at these things, and when you look at any of these basic games, they have a neat look to them. But this was obviously all designed by like marketers and toy makers. But the actual gameplay, because of its basic nature, it looks like the artwork that's on the screens for these things is not anywhere near the same level of detail that you would see in the actual game. Like, all right, I'm looking at the Street Fighter 2 one now. and it's got all the other artwork. But you know what? No, I take that back because this is clearly M. Bison's stage with the giant bell in the background and the red carpet in the front. And yeah, I don't know. I think this is just all basic artwork, and then they just the actual sprites that they used. I mean, using the term loosely, was it must just have been, you know, pared down from official artwork or something, because they did seem to look vaguely like the characters they were supposed to. But I'm assuming these were one-man teams. You know, I'm assuming this is like one, maybe two people tops, and they were able to crank these things out with very little effort.
Well, guys, we're good. They had the Space Jam, so everything's all right.
Well, and I really think like where these all kicked off from, because I actually have relatively fond memories of these. I mean, in retrospect, they're terrible, and nostalgia is a hell of a drug. Because in researching for this show today, I'm looking up some of the ones that I used to play, and if I were to try and buy some of these now, they're going for a couple of them are over $100. It's like,
are you kidding me?
You can kiss my motherfucking ass if you think I'm going to pay $100 for one of these things. But I think where they originally started, like way back in the day, you had baseball
and football,
and those are fun, like because you don't need a lot to go into that. So the Tiger Electronics baseball game is a lot of fun. It's still fun now.
You're
absolutely
right.
Simple, rudimentary baseball game. And my favorite out of these was the Bartman Avenger of Evil and the Simpsons. I think it was Cupcake Crisis or something. And it was just, they're so simple. Like the artwork is so simple. I mean, because, like we're saying here, you only had to draw but 4 different sprites, because your character didn't do much. You would have a sprite for the left-hand side of the screen, the center of the screen, the right-hand side of the screen, and maybe if you were holding something. But they were fun. The Bartman Avenger of Evil one especially. I mean, there was a story like Nelson kidnapped Maggie for some fucking reason, and you had to dodge walnuts that he was shooting at you with a slingshot and get your Bartman costume, and then it would move to the bottom half of the screen, and you would be on your skateboard skating down this fucking road, because that is a good idea to teach kids. Let's just get out there and skate with traffic. And Nelson's throwing watermelons at you, and every now and again Santa's little helper would pop up on the other side of the screen, and you'd have to grab an apple from him and chuck an apple into Nelson's face. And there's only those 2 sections of the game, and once you had to hit Nelson 10 times too. It was fucking ridiculous. But once you would do that, the game would then speed up. That was all you had. And that one I looked up today, and you can get Bartman Avenger of Evil on eBay right now. There were a couple listings that were around $100, and it was
shut up, really?
Yeah, this is crazy if you spend that much money on this game.
What's fascinating about this is when I was doing research for it, actual real information about these things is kind of sparse. There's not a lot of info about who made them, like any of the programmers behind any of these things.
I don't think they want people knowing that.
I don't know, man. I mean, look at the stuff that went into some of the worst Atari games. I mean, those guys are known, and those what conditions they were under. I would love to know about the internal politics behind these Tiger LCD games and how they survived as long as they did, competing with the Game Boy and Game Gear market. And especially when you look at, I'm looking at Sonic 3 on Tiger LCD. Game Gear existed, so Sega was fine with licensing out their Sonic the Hedgehog property to other handheld units that weren't the Game Gear. This kind of stuff just fascinates me. Well, and obviously Nintendo didn't get involved in that, but
yeah. If you think about it though, I mean, like we said, with the price point on these things, it's not really competition. I mean, have all of us worked in video game stores at one point? I know Chris and I definitely have.
Yep. Yeah, I was a veteran of that.
So we have all had the experience then of the parent who came in to get their kid for their birthday it's been a while since I worked in a video game store. So their kid came in and they wanted Madden 2008, right? Mm-hmm. And the parent came in, and since we had used copies of Madden 2007 and they were fucking cheap, they bought that one instead. That's what these games were. These were for the parents who were like, my kid wants the new Sonic game. Oh, look, here's the new Sonic game, and it's only $10. Fuck him. He can have this.
Yeah.
You know, like they weren't really a competitive product, so you really had no harm in licensing this shit out.
Right. Did they ever sell these at GameStop? I mean, I know they sold them at Toys R Us and stuff, but I don't ever remember seeing.
Yeah, I think I got all mine at KB Toys.
Yeah, I remember seeing them at toy stores, not so much the game stores.
We didn't carry these at FuncoLand back in the day. These were not anything that we ever dealt in. So, and I think that's part of what makes these things so kind of mystical. Because from a game collector perspective, these things are so fascinating to me because. I like, for example, I know I played Arch Rivals. I definitely played Arch Rivals, but I don't see Arch Rivals listed on here unless it's from, was it maybe one of the Acclaim games?
Yeah, Acclaim was...
There it is. Acclaim did their own. And there's the Arch Rivals game I used to play. All right, so...
They did the Bartman one as well.
Gotcha, yeah. Oh, geez, Acclaim. That poor company. Iron Sword, where's Warriors 2? They actually had an handheld LCD for that. That's crazy.
Oh my god, did you see the Area 51?
I did see the Area 51.
Oh,
that was nuts. That thing was bonkers.
Came with a light gun.
Yeah, or a light pen or something.
Yeah, something like that. Interesting.
But this seems like it's a totally different branch that handheld electronics went down. You know, when you look at how tech involving these things kept moving forward, as opposed to, you know, the interchangeable cartridges of the Game Boy and the Game Gear and the Atari Lynx, and then, you know, Tiger eventually moved on to the Gamecom, which was their black and white
Game Gear
awful thing, and then the R-Zone, which just totally blows my mind. Like, I don't know why anybody thought the R-Zone was a good idea. It was like they looked at what Nintendo was doing with the Virtual Boy and said, red graphics, that's the wave of the future. You can strap this to your head and you can play interchangeable cartridges of crappy LCD games, but they float in front of your face. They look like they're in 3D,
Chris,
and they're all in red.
You don't even get it. It looked like a Scouter. What else did you want?
Entertainment value. That's what I wanted.
No, it was a Scouter. That's all you needed. That's the end of it. Why would you want anything more? Because you could just say it's over 9,000. I mean, you could just put it down. You got your entertainment out of it.
I mean, I have an R-Zone, so I could do that. I should wear it to work next time I'm there and just start screaming it's over 9,000.
Please do it.
But anyway, I don't know, man. These things are so interesting. Like, looking at the what years they came out, where they were available, what their packaging was like, and, you know, who was involved in making them, and why.
Well, you're gonna have a hard time finding that, because I'm pretty sure that Tiger themselves were purchased by like Hasbro or something like that a little while ago. So I think all of that shit is probably lost now. You know, like once those companies get bought out, it's relatively difficult to find anything about them.
I think I found my favorite one though.
Yeah, what's that?
It's called Karnov.
Oh, they have a Karnov. Who did it?
That was Tiger.
Data East. Oh well, actually, I'm sorry. It is Tiger.
It's in the Tiger stuff.
Yeah, it's based on Data East.
Oh my god, yeah, I know Data East. Karnov's awesome.
Real action.
The fat guy who breathes fire.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, Karnov's the shit. That game's amazing.
That looks ridiculous.
That character has popped up in a bunch of Data East games, including Bad Dudes. He was a villain in Bad Dudes.
Mm-hmm.
It's very
this
weird.
Game has real action, not fake action. Real
actions. Game vision. Oh god, I love this stuff.
They're just such a weird subset, and I think you're right. Like, I don't think we'll ever see very much like this again, because, you know, like you said, at this point now, the iPhone and, you know, Android headsets have really taken this cheap impulse gaming purchase away.
No,
that's what it is.
And maybe that's the reason that these are so expensive, because, I mean, this has got to be impossible to recreate on an emulator, you know, when you think about it.
Yeah, because they all had their own fairly unique controls. And Well, it can't be that difficult because, Nintendo released things like the Game and Watch galleries, and those were really good approximations of what it was like to play these things. But I guess when you look at them from a pure collector's standpoint, like from my perspective, just because a lot of them had some original artwork on it, they had, used different levels of promotional artwork. Like I'm looking at this Marble Madness machine, and it just looks crazy. I want to play this thing. I want to see how it works, and the fact that they were able to take these games, these popular games, a lot of these were based off of other things, and find a way to translate them into LCD. It's really fascinating, and I'd love to learn more about their history, and I'd love to have more of them because they're just neat looking pieces of retro gaming.
Are
I
all
just
of them filthy? Like, because everyone that I remember seeing, like, over someone's house, because the white plastic, it just got gross.
That's true. Yeah, the white plastic on those things got grimy and fast.
Yeah.
I
I
guess
just came across a picture of my favorite one, by the way. I can't believe I forgot about this one. But Tiger put out a dual screen, like you would flip it around if you wanted to play the other one. It was a Bo Jackson football and a Bo Jackson.
Oh, I remember that one.
That was
Oh
my
man, look at
shit
that.
back in the day.
That's
Wow.
amazing.
That was the one. I played the shit out of that game.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that thing was cool. Bo Jackson, that guy.
I remember. Oh man, and all these games were so bad.
Yeah, they were something. But yeah, kind of, back to what Mike. Hi, Mike. What Dan
Hi.
was saying, was that yeah, I think that this really has been replaced by the iPhone type games because that's really all these were for. These were such throwaway games. It's weird to think about games as being such throwaways because there was a big period of time where that really wasn't the case anymore. Video games were they were an expense. There were no really cheap throwaway bullshit experiences anymore. This was after arcades had more or less disappeared, and now that kind of gameplay has come back with the rise of indie games being so popular, and iOS and all the mobile devices being crazy popular places to get really quick and easy to play games, and that's really what this stuff was. And man, this is just so much fun to look at.
It is really crazy. Like as I'm going through all these, it's what I'm finding interesting is because I'm simply looking at just through the Google images, and they're every now and again, like every couple of images, there is popping up like an LCD version of something that did not exist. Like I've passed by an LCD version of the curb stomp scene from American History X, an LCD version of The Wire, and like there's still, like I said, there's this nostalgia around some of this shit when there really shouldn't. I mean, nostalgia is stupid most of the time, but some of this is it's pretty cool, like because it was such a weird time in gaming, and like these and the watch games too. I mean, I know you said you clicked on the Ninja Gaiden watch game, but there was a Double Dragon watch game and a Dick Tracy one, which is the only
Batman
one
one
that actually made sense, but like just so weird. And you're right, these were total throwaway experiences. Like after a couple weeks, you end up spending more in batteries for this thing than you did on the actual game itself.
No, the watch games. It's interesting that you bring those up, because the watch games there are some really really collectible watch games. In fact, the Nelsonic Legend of Zelda watch is the only U.S. released Zelda game I don't own. But another interesting piece of that is the Nelsonic had a Nintendo license to make some watch games, and they kind of have the precursor to Mario Kart. They have a game called Super Mario Race, which is a Nelsonic watch game, and it was like Mario in a more like in an F1 race kind of thing, but it's Mario characters racing one another. So that's kind of cool. And there was a Star Fox watch that was totally cool. I remember playing the heck out of the Zelda one A friend of mine had it, and just thinking it was so cool because it's all it kind of looks like, let me see if I can find an image of it. Zelda Game Watch. Yeah. It looks like a Zelda dungeon from the top view because the Zelda Game and Watch is almost plays like it's based off of Zelda 2, whereas the Zelda Game Watch looks more like Zelda 1, and it was a fun game. You just kind of walked around the same basic rooms in a dungeon. It was all just, one square room after another, but it was really cool stuff. Oh geez, Sub Wars. Look at this thing.
It was in Escape from New York. There was a tiger.
Oh man!
Game in Escape from New York.
Look at that.
Someone's got a good eye.
Way to go.
No pun intended.
Oh. All right. Well, do we have any closing thoughts on this topic?
I'm very happy they don't exist anymore.
Well, actually, I mean, if you ever come across one and it's like at a garage sale or something, I would say pick it up because you don't know how much those things are worth anymore. They're kind of like fossils. No one's making new things of those. No one's creating emulations of them for good reason because they're bad games. But that creates a market for them because there's no like replacements for these, and I'm sure enough of them have gone bad where, people probably kind of want these, if not to play them, just to collect them. So I mean, if you ever come across one, it's $5 or something. By all means, spend the $5.
Could we do a let's play on these?
Absolutely not. No.
There's I actually just did a search for that, and the first thing that pops up is a "Let's Not Play Tiger Electronic Sonic 2," Electronic Football, Paperboy 2. That's the other interesting thing. Just real quick, they called these electronic games. Like it was electronic baseball and electronic Paperboy.
Yeah,
and I don't know, like that just like as part of their marketing scheme, and it just seemed kind of, I don't know, an interesting aspect of it to me because that sort of made it sound interesting and kind of sexy in a way. This is the electronic version, right? And I don't know, it's just kind of this weird aspect of it. The whole thing is just fucking weird, man. Like, just it's a weird aspect of gaming.
Yeah, I agree. This is a very strange piece of video game history, and I for one find it freaking fascinating. So, and I have a handful of them. I would love to have more of them. I love seeing them around, and I'm also with Mike. I'm glad people don't make these anymore, and I'm glad that there's not as much of a feverish nostalgia for these outside of the ones that are specifically licensed, because that drives me nuts. Like I would love to have I don't have. I think I mentioned before that I had, but I don't. I want the Panzer Dragoon game for Tiger R-Zone, just because it is a Panzer Dragoon game that I don't own. But because it says Panzer Dragoon on it, it's crazy expensive. The Nelsonic Game Watch, which is just a bullshit LCD watch, goes for like 100 and change because it's a Zelda game. So these kinds of things, they're kind of obnoxious, but at the same time they're kind of fascinating.
I just came across
They got the Bo Jackson
LCD Full House. Guess what? I'm getting for Christmas. That's
wait. They made a Full House one.
Yeah.
It's with what's her name? Like as the whatever the hell her name, Michelle. Like she's doing something in it or some shit like that.
Jesus.
She's cock blocking Uncle Jesse because that would be the best fucking game ever. Just play Michelle and go cock block Uncle Jesse.
Hey man, there's not Full House, a Home Improvement freaking Super Nintendo game, so anything's possible.
That game is terrible too.
And I want it. All right, well, I guess if we don't have anything else super important to say, we're going to call it a night on this. This was a strange and somewhat fun topic. Guys, what do you have to say? Any closing comments?
Castlevania.
All right, we're going to be, the week that this comes out, that following Saturday, most of us are going to be at the Garden State Comic Fest in Morristown. Our Paper Cuts podcast is going to be doing a live broadcast not a live broadcast, but a live show recording from the show floor, and that's going to be very interesting. So if you like comic books at all, you should totally go to the Garden State Comic Fest. Check them out on Facebook. Just do a Google search for Garden State Comic Fest, and you will find lots of great information about this really cool comic convention. Anybody have anything else to plug?
Yeah, as always, check out all our other podcasts, The Geek Philosophers. Paper Cuts, as Chris just mentioned. Check out our YouTube channel because we're going to have some really, really cool stuff coming out. During our marathon, Chris did a introduction to how to put together a Sega 32X with a Sega CD in it, and if that isn't just gold, I don't know what is. If you want to hear how a Sega 32X sounds, by all means, please listen to this because the moans and wails of a distressed video game system
screaming for help.
It's next to near priceless because you'll never hear anything like that again. I'll guarantee that much.
It actually cries in pain when you play it.
Yeah. So, again, just check that stuff out. Follow us on Facebook. Oh, good news, everyone. We hit over 200 followers. We're at 218 now. So,
Nice.
That's cool. Once again, thank you to everyone who participated in the marathon. That took a lot out of me. I was out of commission for an entire 2 days after that. I didn't even go near a computer very much, even turn one on. It was a lot of fun. I'm happy we did it. I definitely got to plan better for next time. We're definitely going to do more stuff like that in the future, just with some better hardware and more stuff planned out, and with more shifts taken, so I don't have to stay up for 36 hours at a time. Besides that, I think we're good. Chris, you don't have anything else to say?
Can't think of anything at the moment. I will hopefully have a new installment of Lost in Time up. I don't think I'm going to get a chance to finish it tonight, and I'm going away for the rest of the weekend, but hopefully sometime next week I will be posting Lost in Time about the Twisted Tales of Spike McFang, which is a great Super Nintendo game.
Yeah, I guess that's it. Yeah, just otherwise check out our social stuff because we're going to have a lot going on in the very near future. And I mean, the fact that we're going to a Comic-Con and we're doing a live podcast on the floor, live recording on the floor, should be a very, very interesting time. And we hope to do more stuff like that in the future. Again, if you got any questions, comments, you want us to come to your kid's birthday party, which you probably don't want us to because we cuss a whole lot. But if you guys, just need anything of us, want to ask any questions about comics, video games, movies, whatever, because we're out there, send us an email to g33klifesite@gmail.com. Once again, that's g33klifesite@gmail.com.
Nice. All right, cool. Well, thank you very much. Thanks for listening, everybody. And send us some questions. We'd love to hear from you. Be sure to rate us on iTunes. Give us nice ratings. Write a review if you've got a few minutes. That's how more people can find the show. And the more people find the show, the better off we all are. Please, it's for our country. You should do it. And that's going to wrap up the show. Thanks for listening, everybody. And we'll see you next week.
Things are happening.
Can you all see?
Yeah, we can.
Yep.
All right.
Chris, why are you naked?
I'm not naked. I'm just not wearing pants.
Oh. Okay.
I was actually making a joke. I wasn't even looking right away.
I got boxers on. I'm good. Plus, you can't see me from the waist down.